Abuja-Kaduna rail resumes operations tomorrow. Zimbabwe braces for dark Christmas. China reports 2 new COVID-19 deaths. And now the news in detail. In Nigeria, the Nigeria Railway Corporation (NRC) says the Abuja-Kaduna passenger train service will resume tomorrow with only 2 return services. Managing Director of the NRC, Fidel Okiria, made this disclosure in a statement to journalists. The statement explains that the first train service is slated to depart Rigasha train in Kaduna by 8 in the morning to Abuja, while in Abuja, the IDU train station will leave for Kaduna by 9:30 also in the morning. The NRC management reiterated that as part of the new security measures, it is now mandatory for passengers to present their national identity number and valid boarding ticket before being allowed to board. NRC authorities said it will not allow ticket sales by proxy except for minors, adding that ticket sales will commence today. It will be recorded that the NRC suspended train service along the route after Boko Haram terrorists attacked a moving passenger train in Kaduna on March 28 this year. Zimbabweans have to brace for a dark Christmas, with power outages projected to persist until February next year, when the water level at Lake Kariba is expected to rise. Zimbabwe local media reported that the load shedding has been persistent across the country, with some residential areas experiencing rolling power cuts of up to 18 hours, following the suspension of electricity generation at the Kariba Hydro Power Station last week. The Zambezi River Authority (ZRA), a binational organization overseen by Zambia and Zimbabwe, last week ordered suspension of power generation at Kariba Hydro Power Station until January 2023 after Zimbabwe exhausted its allocation of water. The ZRA refutes that the Kariba South Bank Power Station KSBPS had utilized 23.89 billion cubic meters of water, accounting for 1.39 billion cubic meters above the 2022 water allocation of 22.50 billion cubic meters. Officials say the country will have to brace for more power cuts, with normalcy being expected in February. According to an educational video produced by ZPC, the water intakes for power generation at Lake Kariba are designed at 13 meters below maximum water levels in order to avoid mud, which would clog the power generation facilities. Liberian President George Weah's long absence from the country has raised eyebrows and prompted criticism, leading one opposition figure to ask if the West African nation is running on autopilot. Well, went abroad at the end of October for a string of political gatherings in numerous countries and to watch his football son represent the United States at the World Cup in Qatar. Since then, the president himself, a former football star, has not been seen in his homeland, where people are battling soaring prices and shortages of basic goods. Well-known media personality Henry Costa joked online that the president will extend his absence to January if his son Timothy scored against England last month. Well has shared pictures and video of himself with his son in Qatar on Twitter, speaking of being a proud daddy as the U.S. national team qualified for the knockout stages. The opposition has also condemned what it sees as the president's gallivanting between Qatar and international summits in Morocco, Egypt, France, Monaco, and the United States, with former Vice President Joseph Boakai saying Liberia was an autopilot. Where last month extended his stint abroad, the longest since he became president, by another 25 days, and is due back in Liberia on December 18. This is the World at Noon, coming to you from Osun State Broadcasting Corporation, Voice of the West, Nigeria. Now a news message. Peace is an essential ingredient of democracy. Wherever you are, give peace a chance. As authorities in Iran struggle to quell protests over the dress code that have been ongoing for more than 2 months, the country says it is reviewing a decades-old law that requires women to wear a hijab. Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi in a televised comments noted that Iran's Republican and Islamic foundations were constitutionally entrenched, adding that there were methods of implementing the constitution that can be flexible. The comment came a day after the country's Attorney General Muhammad Jafar said Parliament and the judiciary were reviewing legislation requiring a head covering. The headscarf became obligatory for all women in Iran in April 1983, 4 years after the Islamic Revolution that overthrew the US-backed monarchy. The hijab has become the subject of daily protest since the death of Masha Amini in police custody after she was reportedly arrested for wearing her headscarf incorrectly. Saudi Arabia's foreign ministry has strongly condemned an attack on the Pakistani embassy in the Afghan capital Kabul and the failed assassination attempt against its charge d'affaires. According to a statement by Saudi official, the ministry reiterated that Saudi Arabia expressed support to Pakistan government and its people, while ISIS has claimed responsibility for the attack, which Islamabad decried as an assassination attempt against its ambassador. Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif demanded an investigation into the attack, which took place on Friday and injured a security guard who was on the premises. Chinese authorities have announced a further easing of COVID-19 curbs, which major cities such as Shenzhen and Beijing no longer requiring negative tests to take public transport, although the country today reported 2 additional deaths from COVID-19 as some cities move cautiously to ease anti-pandemic restrictions following increasingly vocal public frustrations. The National Health Commission said 1 death was reported each in the provinces of Shandong and Sichuan, but no information was given about the ages of the victims or whether they had been fully vaccinated. China, where the virus was first detected in late 2019 and the central city of Wuhan, is the last major country trying to stop transmission completely through quarantines, lockdowns, and mass testing. According to the China Health Commission, while 9 in 10 Chinese have been vaccinated, only 66% of people over 80 have gotten 1 shot, while 40% have received a booster. Why, given those figures and the fact that relatively few Chinese have been built up antibodies by being exposed to the virus, some fair millions could die if restrictions were lifted entirely. And here again are the highlights of the World at Noon. In Nigeria, the Nigerian Railway Corporation (NRC) says the Abuja-Kaduna passenger train service would resume tomorrow with only 2 return services. Zimbabweans have to brace for a dark Christmas, with power outages projected to persist until February next year, when the water level at Lake Kariba is expected to rise. Chinese authorities have announced a further easing of COVID-19 curbs, with major cities such as Shenzhen and Beijing no longer requiring negative test to take public transport. That was the World at Noon, edited by Nathaniel Oyegoke. For more about us, you can visit www.osbcng.com. Thanks for listening. Good afternoon.
OSBC Radio 104.5 FM, Voice of the West. Don't touch the dial.
I am a testimony, Kodamida. Oh, Kodamida. Oh, Kodamida. He don't leave me hanging, Kodamida. I am a testimony. Hey.